Hello, I've got to fix this Cobra 25 Night Watch ST. This has got some issues with it. We'll go through the problems it's got and hopefully I can get it all resolved. Stick around and find out. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Now this is one of the radios that went through a flood and it got wet, and at the time I flushed it all out and just left it. I've got a few radios like this. It's time to revisit this and actually fix it all up. So I've actually already started working on this. The problem I had initially is that this channel selector knob was just basically rusted up. It's frozen where it's basically on the collar at the front there. This aluminium shaft here, it was corroded and it's swelled up a little bit, you know, as I do. So I've got it turning, but it's still quite stiff. And I'll just get the knob back on again. I just don't know what I took it off for. So it's still, it is going, but it's a bit stiffer than it should be. So what I'm going to do is I'll put my drill on it and just give it a little bit of a whiz with this, just to make it a bit easier. And just try and do it that way. And just gently do that and just wiggle it around as well. Not going fast. I'm just basically trying to get the bush sections and wear the corrosion away. I've already oiled it all up and everything. It's all been oiled. So I'm just trying to just gently wiggle it around, just trying to work on the edges. And I'll go the other way as well. Okay, just... Okay, let's give that a try. See if it's any better. Yep, that's definitely freed up a bit. That's almost normal now. That actually feels pretty normal. I know the signal meter was bad, that's frozen up, so I need to replace that. The knobs feel fine, these all seem to be working right. I've lubricated them all as well. These switches I've lubricated. These are all good, these are all fine. Cleaned all those up already. Bit of WD-40 in there to clean the contacts up and get rid of the corrosion. Worked them quite a bit, and I've got some other cleaner I've put in there as well. I put some IPA in there and flushed them out off. You know, flushed your back out again. Then I've put some popper switch cleaner in there. So it's done that. This switch here was fine. This one's been behaving alright. That one's alright. I'm hoping there's not too much wrong with this. The thing I'm mostly worried about are things like the trimmers. All these trimmers here, it's got like maybe some rust marks on them. It might just be dirt, but it could be rust in there. So at worst case I might have to replace these trimmers because they may be faulty. I'm hoping the metal cans are okay. On the other radios I've repaired which have been like this, the cans have been okay. It's just been the trimmers and the signal meter. And if I have to take the front panel off, it's a problem because potentially pulling the shafts off, these ones probably be right, but this one here might break the pot as you pull the shaft out because it's the potentially it's corroded into place. So I don't want to do that unless I actually have to. But yeah, it's not too bad really. I mean, because I had the flood, and then I think it was the next day, as soon as I could get back into the house, I grabbed all the gear which got flooded, all these radios I had, and flushed them out with fresh water and cleaned them out really thoroughly, and then dried them out. And so they should be alright. I mean, I sat in the sun for hours and hours and hours outside in the breeze as well, so they all dried out really quickly actually. So I'm not worried about any residual water that may have caused more problems, but yeah, the fact they got wet in salt water in the first place was the problem. I'll power it up first. We'll see how we go, see what's actually happening with the radio, see what kind of life there is, if there's any problems with it. Because at the worst case, I could use this as a parts radio for other things, like this transformer here. I might need that in the Cobra 29 because it's the same transformer. So it's possible I could actually take this out and put in another radio, that kind of thing. So I don't want to part it out though. It's a bit too good for that. If the radio is basically working, there's no point doing that. Right, let's power this stuff up for the first time. I've got my Marconi 2955 running. I originally bought a bunch of radios from the US to do conversions on these different frequencies, and this one I hadn't got to yet. I just bought a bunch of radios and I had them sitting there waiting for them to do them, and that's when the flood hit, so it's a bit annoying. Anyway, we shall see what we get. So I've got an external speaker plugged in, everything's plugged in. I should be able to turn this on and see if we have any life. Moment of truth. We have a backlight, we have a full LED display, there's no bad segments, that's looking promising, it's a good start at least. We've got power, we've got a dimmer which is working. Oh, I do have some hiss, there we go, I do have some hiss there. So let's see if we've got any receive going on here. Hey, it's receiving. It is receiving something. So the receiver is at least alive. Transmitter is dead. So that's a good sign. we've got some kind of life. So let's check the VCO, see if that's working correctly. I've got my Fluke multimeter here turned on. Now the test point's down here somewhere, so we can find it. Yeah, it should be there. There you go, 1.6 volts. Channel 1, channel 40, 2.3. It's actually looking like it's probably going to be right. Transmit 2.4. So yes, the VCO is not causing a problem. That'll be alright. 3.2 volts max on channel 40, so that should be working, but obviously there is no TX power output, which makes it get a little bit more interesting. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Right, so I just realised that this PA switch is being a bit dodgy. So I think that could be the problem I'm getting here, because now I can get the transmit light to come on by wiggling it around, see this? So I think that switch might need to be stripped down and cleaned properly. So I've got transmit light coming on now. Let me see if I've got any actual life out of it. Yes, it is transmitting. That is now actually transmitting with audio, I think. I need to actually inject my generator for this. Let's do that. 4-pin unit. That is indeed working. I'll show you that. See it come up over here. Modulation 120%, so yeah, needs turning down a little bit. So it's actually transmitting stuff, so it's not too bad. So I might just basically have to replace the signal meter then and go from there. Let's just try doing this pop first, see if I can adjust this modulation down a bit. It's probably going to be dead though. Yeah, that pot is dead. That's doing nothing. Or someone's clipped it. It's possible someone's modified it and disabled the AMC. That happens a lot, unfortunately. But the pot's doing nothing. So, okay, we're getting somewhere. I might be able to do this without taking the whole assembly apart. So I can actually kind of get to the back of the switch there. So the switch is there, I can kind of get to it. So what I could probably do is dismantle the switch in situ and then clean it all up and then put it back together again. It's a bit awkward. It's not as easy as doing it all apart, but yeah, I'd rather do that than break these pots because these are hard to get. So let's try and bend these tabs out. I've got one done already. Next tab. So basically what is little tabs on the side which clamp the switch together. And if you're really careful, you can actually bend them out and you can dismantle the switch. Okay, you don't try and do too much. You're just enough to get it apart. Okay, that's those ones. Now let's try and get the top ones. Okay, so now I should be able to pull that switch apart. Hopefully not lose any bits. Okay. So here's the switch rear plate. Which, yeah, it's definitely got some corrosion there. And then if I can get the switch mechanism out, that'd be good. Let's get some different tweezers. So here's the internal parts of the switch. Those bits there, those are the actual contacts which sit on the actual activator. Here is one of the springs, the other one's still intact, still inside it. They're both intact, the springs are still okay. I just need to make sure I refit that. Here is the switch mechanism. And basically what I've got to do is just get in here, clean all these up. These are also just a bit of corrosion on there, a bit dirty. I'll clean all these up, and put it back together again, it should be right. Oh, it's just testing this again. Now I put it back together again, the front panel's still loose. I've got to take it apart yet to do that signal meter. The only thing I'm looking for right now is the CB PA switch. Make sure it's working, so let's transmit it. Here we go. Watch that red light. Yep, no flickering. That's looking fine. So I'll put that switch apart and clean it all up, put it back together again. It's fixed it. Pick off there. So, all good. happy with that. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Right, so let's replace the signal meter. See how hard it is to get this thing apart, to get into it. Hopefully I'll take the front panel off. Looks like I don't have to, it looks like it's got a separate bracket, so that's good. I think I've got to get into that separate bracket. This is not flexing very well, so it's going to be a bit hard to do these screws, I think. If I can get the screws to turn. Yeah, this is going to be fun. I'll come back once I've got it out. Well, I managed to get the bracket undone. One screw was fairly easy, the other one was absolutely wedged in there. Ended up rounding the top off. Managed to get the thing freed in the end. So there's the signal meter out. Now I've got to remove the wires, reattach the wires to the new meter, which you got here, brand new one. Now the scale is different. This has got a swar section on it, so it's not exactly the same meter, but physically it's the same. It's just the scale was different. I'm not going to swap the scale out because it means dismantling things, and I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm just going to put that one in there as it is with the extra bit of scaling in there, so it's not exactly right, but chances are no one is ever going to notice anyway. So we'll get this out. So black is towards me in this case. We'll see if it stays that way. New meter, the polarities are, we do exactly the same orientation. Let's get some solder on these legs. One. With it on, might have to tweak them a little bit, make them a bit nicer, but they're on. Now the signal meter on this is actually kind of like, I don't know, strangely it's kind of stuck in there, it's like it's glued in. So the original one is here. I'd actually prefer to put the original bulb back in, because the original bulb was working fine, so I think I'm going to try and just break this out. Looks like it's got a fairly soft glue in there, so I'll just pop that out. And I'll put the original one back in, which has got a holder on it. The other one is glued in there. Right, signal meter is now installed. As you can see, it's illuminated. It will transmit. It is working, transmit. Let's just check out the receive side once I get this gear all warmed up. IF gain and mic gain need to be turned up. There we go. We have receive signal strength. So the RX is working. I'm currently putting out -73 dBm, and that's S9. It's already set. That's good. So let's check the receive sensitivity, see how that's actually working, see if it seems okay or not. So let's do the level and we'll wind it down. I'm swapping it away, isn't it? I expect it is. So that's -100 dBm right now. It's -110, which is normal towards the bottom end. Still receiving. Yeah, it's about 116 or so. Let's plug this into my tester and see what it thinks is the synad. So synad for 12 dB synad is about -115 dBm is 12.4 dB synad. Sometimes you wind the volume all the way up, actually makes it worse. So I do tend to do it about halfway. It does tend to give generally better results. So yeah, that's definitely working alright. Excellent. Let's check the other channel. Channel 40, see what that one's like. Okay, that is about 112 dBm, or -112 dBm. So yeah, a lot lower, but nothing, a little bit of alignment probably won't fix. So it's actually receiving, that's good. Transmit is working. Now, did I transmit audio? I think it did, didn't it? Yes, it did. So I think we're basically good. I just need to go through now and do a realignment on it and clean it all up, get it all looking nice. So there you go, there's channel 40 response there. So it could be slightly better. Let's flip it over, let's give it a bit of a tweak. See if we can get it slightly better. Where's my adjustment tool? Going the other way. Try and get it just starts to dip. Okay, let's do the next alignment. Same thing, I'll get so it starts to dip. If I peak in the middle of the band, it might be better. It's we're already up a couple of dB there. We're up to 113 now, nearly 114. Some really minor adjustments. Just peaking the IF. It's pretty much there. Yeah, I think that's pretty much there. So we'll go to channel 1 again. Change the level back down. So I've lost a little bit on this end. Let's tweak it this way slightly. There we go. So about 114 or so at both ends of the scale. So there we go. Minus 114 in the middle as well, so that's fairly even. So here's the circuit diagram for this radio, and I'm looking at the AMC circuitry now because obviously it wasn't working before. I was adjusting it, nothing's happening, and I could see from the board here C70 was missing. So look at the circuit diagram here. Let's use this. So power comes through. This is the transmitter side here. This is the audio comes in, audio transformer, which is what modulates the RF carrier. This adjusts the DC levels on the final transistor on the driver, which is what modulates carrier. So modulation comes through here, is sensed here. So this is VR5, which is the AMC adjustment. There's C70, which is missing. It passes through here, which is basically DC blocking, and it passes AC through. Here is a DC offset coming in here, so that's pull up. That diode means it only passes negative. You've got reverse bias capacitor here, so it's the positive side is going to ground. So this is a negative signal coming through here. Okay, another capacitor here, same situation. You've got a PNP transistor here, so negative on here will pull this transistor to turn on, which will then turn on the other stuff further down the line here, which is all the AMC circuitry. C70 being missing means that it will not be able to adjust the AMC level. So I'm going to install C70. I've got it here. I've got a 1 microfarad 50 volt cap here, so I'm going to install that, and that should restore the AMC back to normal operation. So let's just clear these holes out, which are supposed to be for this capacitor. Those two pads there are for where that capacitor is supposed to be. So I'm going to desolder those. I've already pulled the power plug out. You should have a solder on a radio with the power plugged in, because sometimes the power still goes to places even when the switch is turned off. So I'm just going to, because I'm going to do a little bit of desoldering, I'm just going to use my hand pump. If you're going to do a couple of joints, it's not worth getting the desoldering gun going, because it's literally as quick as that and it's done. Not worth worrying about it. Yeah, it's that easy, rather than messing around with the desoldering gun. So that'll do that. So let's get the capacitor installed. The positive side goes towards the trimmer. It's also got a dot on the circuit board which shows which side the negative goes to, so put that in place. So people disabling the AMC circuitry is a common thing, because I think, oh, you know, it gets more power out, but all you're actually doing is creating a lot more splatter and noise and just generally annoying everyone around you. So it's not really worth it. So if I see a AMC has been disabled, I will re-enable it and tune it correctly so it has the best modulation possible. We should now have a working AMC, so we shall confirm that. I'll get up to the test gear. Right, so here we go, set up. We can just do this monitoring now. We'll see what happens. Let's transmit. So there we go. It says 6.5 watts, but yeah, you know, it's with modulation. You never quite trust it all the time. So let's turn it up. Also, I'll just show the scope display in a second as well. So it goes 100% there. I've got it fully clockwise. It's about 120 odd percent. So we'll turn it down a bit more. So let's do the scope display. It's right down, is it? There we go. Right. So there's modulation. You can see we're starting to distort. So I'm not sure if this level adjustment on here is correct on this thing yet. I don't actually use this thing that much. So you can see a distortion there. Right, I'm going to try this with the scope instead. So I've got the scope hooked up, and I'll show you that in a second. I'm just going to confirm it again. I'll show you from the Marconi. I'll go up to the scope above it. Okay, so transmit. So there we go. We're getting, as it settles down, it'll be 100% mod, right? So our thing's doing 100%. There we go. And there's the modulation waveform on the signal. If I wind this up, too much. You can see we've got a nice crossover there. It's actually looking quite nice. And if I tweak this up a bit, you'll see we're starting to flatten out here, which is where we're going to be getting distortion. Right, there's the distortion. That's what definitely we do not want. Okay, so if you don't have an AMC, you're going to get something like this. And that is awful. You don't want that. So I bring it down. And that's looking pretty good there. Basically what you should see is a sine wave on both sides with a nice crossing over. You shouldn't see any flat spots. So right there is where it should be. And there you go, back on the Marconi again. 99% modulation. So yep, this is actually accurate, which is good. I did calibrate correctly after all. Excellent. Now the next things I need to do is adjust the frequency calibrations on this thing to make sure it's definitely okay. So we can go on to the local oscillator, which is here. There we go, 16.270, 103, which is 100 Hz high. And that's on channel 1, and channel 40 is there. So I need to drop this down a little bit. So I'll adjust the crystal here to get into this. This can be tricky to get right. I'm using a metal tool, which doesn't help. Actually, get the plastic tool. Well, ceramic. I've got one here somewhere. That's the one. Now, what I've actually done on this already is a common problem with these particular trimmers. They get dirty. They get like dirty spots on them because they're capacitive trimmers. And I find sometimes spraying a bit of cleaner in there and twinkling around a little bit, and getting them right is a good idea. You just basically just put some cleaner on there and just turn them a lot to try and clean them up a little bit, and that usually works quite well. This is extremely touchy. It's still not perfectly clean. I think that's good enough. Right, 4 Hz up, that's not going to matter. So we'll look at the transmit frequency. Let's stick this over here somewhere. There you go. 26.965.005. So that's 5 Hz out. I think that'll do. Okay, last thing I think, I've just hooked up the internal speaker. I've already done alignment stuff, I didn't show it on camera. Apart from the AMC obviously. So I've hooked up the internal speaker. Let's see if it actually works. The sound. Let's give it some signal. I turned all this off now, didn't I? Of course I did. Okay, here we go. Speaker's working. Seems fine. Excellent. Well, that's that repair done. All fixed. I'm happy about that. So make sure you click the like button if you liked the video. Subscribe if you've not been here before. Click the bell icon as well to get notifications about new videos and all the usual stuff. And thanks to my Patreon supporters, help me to buy things and fix them and that sort of stuff. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon to help support the channel and help me to buy things to do videos about, then check out the link down below to Patreon. Now at the end screens as well is also a link to Patreon now. So thank you very much. I'll catch you later. Bye. Hello, I'm going to be repairing this Cobra 25, what was it, Night Watch ST. Hello, I'm going to be repairing this Cobra 25 Night Watch ST CB radio today. This had a bit of damage to it. It's been flooded with salt water. I've got to do a bit of work on this and get this thing right, I think. We'll see how we go, but stick around and find out if I can fix it. So this Cobra 25 has got a few issues with it. It got flooded with salt water, believe it or not, and it's been cleaned out, but it's got some problems still. So we've got to work through this and just sort out anything that needs fixing. And it should be an interesting video. Make sure to stick around. Stop looking at the screen. Look here. So this Cobra 25 here. Hello, I've got to fix this Cobra 25 Night Watch ST. This has got some issues with it. We'll go through the problems it's got and hopefully I can get it all resolved. Stick around and find out. Bye. Don't need the buy in there. Take the buy out. Don't forget to click like and subscribe.